Ooh, welcome to the Lawless podcast with Justin and
Justin
Clayton.
Clayton.
I am Justin. No, I'm not
Oh
Justin.
man,
You messed me up. I heard you
I
whispering.
I did mess you up, and I can tell you why you messed up. It's
Why?
because you got this golden tan
Oh,
that
snap.
normally would be associated with me, but my boy is rocking the sun kiss today.
Mm, mm, mm,
Been
mm.
spending some time out at the pool.
Been getting them
Let me
UVs.
let me break it down.
Okay.
Welcome to Lawless Podcast. As always, this is me, Justin, and my best buddy Clayton,
Mm,
and we're
mm.
here to just chop it up.
Chop it
To
up
chop it up and serve it to you on a silver spoon,
on a silver platter, even.
on a silver platter with a silver spoon. Yeah, bro, you are rocking the summertime vibes, and I love it.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm golden.
What? Oh,
Bronze, even.
you got the farmer's
Almost
tan, or you got
almost appropriating some. Oh no, it's up here. I go
yeah,
I go
man.
shirtless.
That's what we call brown face, and that's
I, I
frowned
don't
upon.
I don't do that intentionally. Actually, my great grandmother was full blood Chickasaw, so
There you go.
I'm allowed to.
Or
No.
Chickasha, depending on where you're from.
In Oklahoma, well, yeah, in Oklahoma there's a town right next to where I grew up called Chickasaw. And yeah, locals there will even say Chickasha. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not how it's spelled at all.
Well, I mean, I guess that kind of harkens back to that conversation we had about 5 minutes ago that I was just in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So somehow or another, Chickasha is Chickasha. Is that right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they call it Chickasha.
Some illiterates do.
Uh,
Some simpletons. I don't mean that. I'm just teasing.
um, well, I was just in Arkansas doing some kayaking,
Or
and it
Arkansas for
or
some of you.
Kansas.
I, I,
Yeah,
I know there are some listeners that for some reason pronounce it Arkansas.
no, they don't.
Yeah, there is. We worked with them. People,
No, no, no. Listen,
okay.
listen. I mean,
I had this debate many times.
if you call it Arkansas, you're just looking for attention. There is no way that you actually believe that it's pronounced Arkansas, unless maybe. Let me give you this: if you're a foreigner, like if you're one of them, like you're here for the World Cup,
Uh-huh.
whatever, you find yourself in Arkansas, you may look at it and be like, "Oh, I know how to read English. That says Arkansas." But if English is your first language,
Right.
you're just looking for attention. And honestly, I'll give you attention, but it's not the
It's not
kind
the
you
kind
want.
that you want.
It's not it's not going to be good. Uh, and
No, I
honestly, yeah, like everybody needs attention. I get it. If you need love, that's fine. Just say I need love, but don't go around pretending like that's what you call it, because we know that that's not true.
You say that, but I mean, you know that there are people in the town that you live at. Let me ask you this. There's a river that runs through that town.
Now this is different.
No, it's not. It
This
is
is
not
clearly
at
different.
all. It is
It's
not at
apples,
all.
apples and oranges.
No, it's apples and apples, my friend. There's a river that runs through that town that you live in, and it's a big one, and it runs from Kansas to the state of Arkansas. And
Mhm.
what is the name of that river?
Oh, that's the Arkansas River.
Oh my Lord. There you go.
I don't make the rules. I just enforce them.
No, 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 no. So have we found an exception to the rule, or are you just also a foreigner that doesn't know how to read English?
Just listen, man.
I'll give it to you. There's a whole state of you.
I'm
It's
just
only one state. You're all contained within those boundaries. But there's a large group of people that pronounces it Arkansas.
I'm kind of thinking I'm kind of getting the feeling that you might be one of those people. The
No,
way the way you're the way you're kind of turning sides here, and because I noticed all of a sudden you started talking about like you people, like so, like almost like us and you kind of thing,
You
as if you're on
people.
the other side.
Oh,
Um,
I've always pronounced it Arkansas.
okay.
I've just have at first I butted heads, but then I started taking delight in Kansan's mispronunciation of otherwise very common words. Like there is a Spanish word that can mean lots of things, but it really means gold. But the way it's pronounced, like phonetically, if you were to literally translate it, means the gold. But it's been used as like the city of gold or the golden city, but it's still just the same word. But like I said, if you take it exact in English or in Spanish, it's two words, and it's EL is the first part, and the
Okay.
second part is Dorado.
Oh, El
L.
Dorado.
No, no, that's not how that's pronounced. But that's how Kansans pronounce it.
You could try to call it El Dorado.
That is how you say that word or those words. El Dorado.
Hmm.
So I always ran with that, and there's a street on the west side of Wichita near my old neighborhood. Um, it's Yosemite, but I would
You did
pronounce it
not call it Yosemite.
every chance I got. It was Yosemite. Because if we're gonna say Arkansas and if we're gonna say El Dorado, then I'm gonna say Yosemite. Just
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a free for all, we can just say it however we want.
if we're just
And
making our own rules around here. What about Colorado? Is that another one how you say it?
well, how do you say it?
Colorado?
Okay, because some pretentious assholes would say Colorado.
Isn't that what I just said?
You said Colorado.
And what'd you say?
I would say Colorado, but some pretentious assholes say Colorado.
I think you're saying the exact same word
No, I'm not.
twice.
It's Colorado or Colorado.
Oh, like
Like you might say,
rad.
yeah, like you might say Iran or
Iran.
Iran, right? Like, what are you, a fucking newscaster?
Okay. Okay. I hear that. Um,
I really have a lot of opinions, I think, about the way people pronounce words. I don't know that I've ever noticed it before, but I'm feeling
I
it.
believe you have a lot of opinions.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like, well,
Hmm.
I was gonna say it might be you might have to by law, I guess. Now, I was gonna say I feel like you think you're right on every single one of your opinions, but kind of to have an opinion, you have to think you're right.
You do.
Or
Yeah,
why have that opinion?
we may have had this very conversation before because that's yeah, that's what I say is like somebody you may accuse somebody of, well, you always think you're right. Well, yeah, because I wouldn't think it if I thought it was wrong.
I wouldn't
Ev-
intentionally be wrong.
yeah, everybody thinks they're right. That's why you think what you think.
Hmm. There's something to go into there.
Yeah.
Tell me about your trip to Arkansas or
Oh,
the other
Arkansas.
place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We were near Branson. And I don't know the name of the town that we were in or anything, but we were probably like 45 minutes from Branson. And the water was extremely cold, like
Yeah.
uncomfortably cold. And the lady at the facility where we got the kayaks, she said that it was because it's fed from the bottom of Lake Taneycomo, I think.
Huh.
I don't know.
Like she's probably mispronouncing that word for sure.
Yeah, probably. But it was super cold, and um, that wasn't that big of an issue. The biggest issue that I had was every time I would lift the paddle up, all of the water from the end of the paddle would come running down the handle and drip onto my shorts to where like within probably 30 minutes I was just completely soaked. And so that kind of sucked, but aside from that it was a lot of fun.
You didn't think you were gonna get wet in the
I
river
I I had hoped to not.
or
Uh, if maybe if it had been warmer. Um, Honestly, if the weather had been warmer and if the water had been warmer, I probably would have done some wading around and swimming, but it was just
Now,
too cold.
I've been dealing with this conundrum myself at my neighborhood pool where I've been soaking up the rays and getting this beautiful tan. Um, just like a month ago, well, yeah, like at the end, the pool opened at the beginning of May, I want to say. Yeah, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. No, yeah, the pool opened at the beginning of May, and we first went there for a couple weekends, and every time I went there, the water was impossibly cold. Like I stepped in, my kids, of course, jumped in. God
Oh
love them.
yeah,
I would have
yeah.
too. Just a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, I would have too. God love them. But I got in and like ankle deep. I said, "Oh no, this is not for me."
Nope.
Uh, yeah, but today or this past weekend we go there and it's 95 degrees every single day. Like the actual temperature is 95, feels like 100 or whatever, and we got pretty good humidity down here. And it's bath water right now. Like it's just
Okay.
straight up not lukewarm. It's warm, warm
Perfect.
bath water. And it feels kind of gross to me actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was wondering. I was like, man, it must have only been one weekend. I'm like, I didn't want it stupid cold, but I also don't want bath water warm. I want it to be just refreshing. I want it to be like the cold tap. If you open the cold tap on a summer day, maybe not in winter, but on a summer day, you open the cold tap and it's been running, it gets the first chill out of there,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
can put your hand under it. That's where I want my pool water to be. But we're on
Oh,
the cold
that's
is closed.
yeah, that's too cold, man.
Okay.
You don't want that. Take
Hmm.
it. Just trust me. Trust me. You don't want that.
Okay. You were paddling. You were paddling and getting some cold water on your lap.
Yeah, yeah, but it was okay. It was I
What
got
were you
soaking
doing?
wet
Were you rafting or kayaking, canoeing?
kayaking. I do though. I really want to go whitewater rafting. I think that would be so much fun. Have you ever been?
Yeah, yeah, I have. I was a teenager. I mean, so it's been more than 20 years. When I was in a youth group. I feel like that sounds better already to my ears. I was in a youth group and we went to the Big Pigeon River in East Tennessee and North Carolina. Where we started at was in North Carolina, but the leg of the rapids ends in East Tennessee. But there's the Little Pigeon River. That was the river where I lived at in Sevier County, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg. There's the Little Pigeon River, and then there's the Big Pigeon River. And the Big Pigeon has some rapids. I don't know, enough to, I don't, I know there's classes of like one, two, three, four, maybe.
Yeah,
I know we were in that bracket somewhere. It wasn't like, I guess some people do drown in it, but we were in no danger. At least I didn't feel like it. But
yeah.
we flipped our raft a couple times, not on purpose. At least I didn't know it was going to happen.
Did you have a guide, like a
Yeah,
professional guide?
yeah. Every raft had a guide. Yeah, and it taught us the basics, and they were like, "Let's do it."
Yeah, I would like to do that, and I would like to do a float trip. Which I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I don't guess I really know what a float trip is, except are those normally on rafts or canoes?
Well, the float trips that I know of are in like the Circle Donuts, and you actually, I know a ton of people where you are that float the Nenaskaw, that
Okay.
float the Nenaskaw, and maybe the Arkansas River, maybe the Cowskin. I want to say there's parts of the Cowskin that they float also. But I know definitely the Nenaskaw and the other river. What is it? The R.
Arkansas?
Okay.
I think
That
you
one.
mean to say the Ninneskay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Ninneskay and the Arkansas. Definitely. People don't say Nenaske, do they?
No,
Okay. I mean, it,
no,
it would be
not
the same people
no,
that say El Dorado.
not if I'm listening. They don't.
They don't get away with it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely not. I won't put up with that shit. So you spent some time at the pool. What else did you do this weekend?
Oh, my normal thing. Saturday I worked. I worked Saturday till about noon. Um, and then got home. Well, man, all week, the past 2 weeks, I guess, maybe my whole dang life since I've been here. Every day, I got a slave driver at home. She always has chores for me to do. I'm painting, I'm building stuff, I'm putting together furniture, I'm fixing the sink, fixing the alarm, fixing the
Sounds like a
garage
country
door
phone.
every single day. So Susie, slave driver over here, is just putting it to me. And so we got done painting the house this past week, painted all the common areas. A pretty cool shade of green called, what is it? Oh, anyway, it's some sort of something sage. On the color palettes that you get from Lowe's and Home Depot. Juniper sage is the name of the
Okay.
green. All which is a real pretty green. We got done painting the living room, kitchen, dining room, and all the common areas. And so we did that. I come home from work every single day and go back to work painting. And Saturday, I went to work and then came home and had more chores to do putting together. Oh, and we've been moving my son and my brother into their apartment. That's all done, but that's been going on the past couple weeks also. Been moving them in there, and I've been putting together their furniture and moving up all the stuff with them. Um, Saturday, I come home and have yard chores, mow the front and backyard, and weed eat. My brother helped me weed eat this weekend. That was pretty nice. And yeah, after that, we went to the pool for both days.
Very nice.
And then I was like Cheryl Crow, I'm gonna soak up the sun. I,
That's the best part about summer, man. Is just being outside, just cooking in the UV rays. I love
yeah.
it. I love it so much.
Anyone who says the sun is bad for you is wrong.
Plus a pussy.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. That's right.
I started wearing sunscreen on my face though for when I'm golfing.
Oh, is that like as a way to be more accepting in 2026? You're like, look, guys, I'm an ally. I'm an ally. I'm one of you. And you put on sunscreen.
That's just so that the skin on my face doesn't just like shrivel up and um, I'm not trying to age. I'm not trying to age prematurely.
Right.
The
You want to
rest of my
keep
body, I don't care. Like my arms can get all saggy and gross and skin cancer, whatever. But I got to keep my face hot.
taut.
Yeah,
Taut.
that way I can avoid the what's the injections they give you? Um,
Oh,
I can
uh,
Botox. That way I can avoid the
Botox. But say,
just
I
push
should know
off a
that.
little bit long. Why should you know that?
Oh, I don't know. It's just
You just should just know everything.
I should. I count it against me whenever I don't know. Whenever I don't have immediate perfect recall.
Um, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, quit being a bitch, man. Why are you wearing
Yeah.
sunscreen? It's just the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I don't wear sunscreen, by the way.
Yeah, clearly.
No,
Um,
I'll mow the yard shirtless and in short shorts and be smoking a Marlboro while I'm doing it. Like I
hell yeah.
want I want that leather. Give me that leather. I
Hell
want that
yeah.
horse saddle.
Um, but while I was there, there was a guy that was on the trip that had an interesting experience this past. I think it was the week before. Yeah, it must have been the week ago, or it might have been 2 weeks ago. And he was recounting it to me, and I wanted to run it by you to get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
And I'll probably say this a couple times.
Don't be
Like
too specific. You don't want to alienate anyone or any certain. thing.
Well, yeah, that's I probably do this too much, but I do want to. I'll give a caveat that I don't know what to make of it, and I want to be respectful to his experience. But man, as he was recalling it, there were so many red flags. But I'll just explain this to you as he did to me, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Sure.
The
We're just
name
two
of
homies chopping something up.
just chopping it up, just trying to process, trying to figure out what we think of this thing. The name of this organization is called Rise Up Kings.
I thought we just said we don't want to be specific. Okay.
No, I'm saying I'm not gonna
Okay.
name the guy, but I do want to name the thing. I
Okay,
do want to
yeah.
name the organization.
Rise
It's
up,
called
Kings.
Rise Up Kings.
Now, when
So
you say that, I think of like a young urban man saying,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
motivating his brother. Rise up, King, young King.
There are kind of there are two mental pictures that come to mind. That's the first one.
Right.
The second is kind of the gym bro, um, probably using some steroids. You know,
Some
just the
PEDs.
yeah, just the gym bro, the like an influencer kind of
A no fear t-shirt. Used to
yeah,
be
or
no fear.
the I'm not sure what the modern day version of that would be.
Yeah.
Lions not sheep,
Yeah.
maybe something like that. I
There
don't know.
was a trend when I was in the Navy, and I'm guilty of this, but there was this organization or clothing brand really called Pipe Hitters Union. And I did own Pipe Hitters Union t-shirts. And it was the Navy's or the military's version of no fear,
Okay.
that kind of bro thing.
So that's kind of what you expect, but I just from the name, I didn't know anything about it at the time. So I asked him like,
Rise up, Kings.
tell me about it. How did it go? So what he describes is he knew that this was going to be some sort of a men's retreat, um, and the focuses are on faith, family, finances, fitness. That's those are the four key principles of the weekend: faith, family, finances, and fitness.
I used to say there's three things that make someone manly or tough, and fighting, fishing, and another F word. And
Finances.
and I'm good at all three. So you don't want to call me fighting,
um,
fishing, and yeah.
and so the instructions were arrive at this hotel, and I want to say 8 o'clock. It might have been 7. Arrive at this hotel with nothing but a black t-shirt, black shorts, black socks, and black shoes.
We're gonna
You,
rob a bank.
you will arrive at 0800 hours, and you will receive further instruction. So they get there, and he describes like everybody shows up. They get everybody like in squadrons, so to speak. They give everybody a blindfold, put the blindfold on, you go to the van, and then the vans take you to another location. At that second location, there are what he described as coaches that sounded like, or what he called coaches, but they sounded like drill instructors. So he
Yeah.
said, as soon as we get there, they're screaming at people. Dude had chapstick in his pocket, and he had to have consequences, which involved push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, like flutter kicks, like physical exercise. And so everybody's kind of figuring out, oh shit, like they're serious about this. And then they go one by one, and they're asking the participants, why are you here? And any answer that they deemed superficial, there would be consequences. So if you were to say, I'm here to be a better father, nope, give me push-ups until I tell you to stop. And so they're figuring out like, oh no, like they want really raw, vulnerable answers. And so that's what you got to do. So
What's an example of a raw, vulnerable answer to that?
so one of the examples he gave was that, one person was like, I'm here to recover from childhood trauma. And that apparently that was acceptable. But to say I want to be a better husband, father, man, whatever, that would have been ultimately what it was is there's no way, like the whole thing was designed so that you couldn't succeed, so that you are going to be doing some
Yeah.
sort of consequences, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever.
This
Because
is a
then
tried and true program.
then
Mental so
he
far.
then he said, so what would happen is you would get consequences for anticipating something. So you're doing sit-ups and there's no end. Like you just stop when they tell you to stop. The coach tells you to stop. If you start to stand up, well, now you're doing flutter kips because I didn't tell you to stand up. You
Right.
anticipated what I wanted, so now you're going to do this. And it was just one activity after the other of that sort of thing. At one point, they had their blindfolds on. They went to the beach, face in the sand, and you're doing snow angels until they tell you to stop.
Okay.
And then they tell you to stop, and then you got to run over to another location. You're on your back, and you're doing sand angels until they tell you to stop. And then you go to the lake, and you're doing burpees until they tell you to stop. But what was sticking in my mind was the just the fact that you can't, like, it was set up to where you are going to be doing push-ups and sit-ups and you're going to be having consequences. And there's 3 days of these, and I don't remember what all of the things were, but he'd mentioned that one guy had to quit. He had rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah.
Two guys left via ambulance.
Okay.
On one of the days, they take him to this area. Oh, yeah. So
They have to sign a bunch of waivers.
well, yeah, yeah. And we talked about this, but I also had to sign a waiver before I got in the kayak. And do you know what the waiver said?
You're not going to sue us?
No fucking idea, because you don't read those waivers. Nobody does. You scroll and then click I accept and sign.
Sure.
So one of the events was like sparring mats. He said that, again, no instruction. There's sparring mats. There's headgear, gloves, and a mouthpiece. So, like, I guess we're boxing. So they put the stuff on. The first round was 50%, and you had to hit in the head. The second round was 100%.
You just have to kill each other.
He knocked his dude out. And that's where I was like, oh, hold up. Is there are there ambulances on standby? And he said, no, there's no ambulances, but there's and I thought he was going to say EMTs, which was going to be like, okay. But then he kind of changed it and said, well, they weren't EMTs, but they were like staff that was trained in first aid.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and so somebody tore their rotator cuff and had the box left-handed. One arm was in a sling, and they put him in the ring to box with just his other hand. And so there, and in the midst of all of this, there's a religious component where the message is, we're not about religion. We're about relationship. We don't give a crap about religion. Religion is blah, blah, blah. Relationship is where it's at. And there's an opportunity for people to get baptized and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so at one point they took this entire group. He said it was like 60 people. Again, keep in mind, they're all dressed in black. They marched. They had to march from one hotel to another. And then from there, they took them to the graveyard. So there's 60 of these guys in their black gear in a graveyard. You had to find a tombstone and write your obituary. And ultimately, it was just a mind fuck. Like the entire thing. And again, I'm saying that I'm trying to say this cautiously because he got something from it. He found a benefit, and he is able to be a better husband, father, friend, whatever. But I'm listening to it and I'm just thinking, man, that's so dangerous on so many levels. The dude had scars from all of the fire ants, from the bites. Had an infection. He had to get on antibiotic. And I'm just like, this organization is going to be in the news. Somebody is going to die, and they're going to get sued. And even if you took the lawsuit out of it, that's not the biggest deal. But somebody's going to die. You can't just take a bunch of dudes from ages 20 to 70 is what he estimated, and just have them doing this shit with no with it sounds to me like with no safety or very
Now,
little.
I would like to think a bunch of things here, just on first impressions. I wanted to hate this with the same passion that I feel like that you deserved from me. I wanted to give you what you.
No, no, I want your honest opinion. Do you think this is a safe and good thing?
I feel like this could be really. I feel like this could be really useful for some guys. The the thing that kind of threw me off was the religious part of it, but maybe that's just my own hangups with religion, with organized religion. It's definitely my own hangups with organized religion, but um, that recipe. So what they tried to do, and maybe I mean, I don't know enough about it. I definitely haven't experienced this thing, and I don't know enough to really give an informed opinion on it. But what you're describing is the blueprint for every military boot camp. Like that's the blueprint. The maybe the Navy not so much, even though the Navy's boot camp did have some elements in that, but like definitely Buds. That's like they're taking a page out of that Marine Corps boot camp, Army boot camp, definitely infantrymen's or some sort of combat MOS's boot camp. Was something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and like there's something too. Like I bet you there were some safety, some like I bet maybe they didn't have an ambulance or even EMTs there, but I bet to be qualified as an instructor, they did have some sort of in-depth medical training, like TCCC is what we would have called it, or something. Like they know how to stop the bleed, they know how to open an airway, they know how to put someone on a stretcher. I bet I would hope they had routes planned to the nearest hospital, things like that. They might have had, I mean, you have 911 on speed dial, but I bet they had contingency plans. Um, I bet they had a pretty healthy waiver with some lawyers that built it up. Uh, man, people need some, not everybody, but a lot of men and a lot of people in general need something like that, especially if just to prove to themselves that they could, because that's the big question is
Mm-hmm.
that's what you hear a lot of, and it's easy to make fun of, and I do make fun of them, kind of tongue in cheek, but whatever. Everyone's got their own reasons. Everyone who says I would have joined, but you know, I had my folks wanted me to go to college. I would have joined, but my girlfriend said she would have dumped me.
But I'd have punched the drill instructor.
I would have punched. I just see red. I would have joined, but yada yada. Those I can understand that if you're saying that in, I don't understand it, but I will forgive that if you're in your 20s and you're saying that. Maybe if you're in your early 30s is when you should be cutting it out. When you're if you're in your 30s and you're saying I would have joined, but cut that shit
Yeah.
out. Just say
Yeah.
I didn't.
You didn't. Yeah.
You didn't. Um, but I know that that does something to you. Like that is a parenting device, and maybe that's not even the best word for it, but um boot camp in the military, but especially boot camp, is a parenting mechanism that a lot of people need because they don't know that they can do anything. They have lots of
Yeah.
ideas of I can't, I think I can. I do this and I do that. Yeah, but have you?
Yeah. Um, but obviously, I mean the point of boot camp, I think I've never been, but I think is it not to break you down
Yeah, it's to
like
break
that
you down. Yeah.
and brainwash.
Uh yeah,
I
sure
mean,
that
well,
is a
yeah.
version of it.
What's the other term? What do they use in the military?
It's to rebuild you. It's to break you down and rebuild.
Yeah, there's a specific term, not brainwash, but similar.
Inoculize. Yeah,
But it makes sense in the military. It makes sense because you can't, as a soldier, you can't be thinking that you're going to do things your own way. Like you've got to know that you don't know.
But
We know.
they're also teaching you in the military that you
Indoctrination.
indoctrinate. Yeah, yeah, sure. They're trying to indoctrinate you. And part of that indoctrinating program is to break you down, bring you to failure. Like that's one of the elements is you will fail. So they want to introduce you to getting punched in the face. They want to introduce you to reaching your physical limit. But they also want to teach you that you can do more than what your brain tells you to. So when you say, I just can't, and they're like, bullshit, drop down. I didn't say stop. That's teaching you like, oh, I guess I do got some more in me. And it's even to I so like one of the best examples or one of the best reasons I give and tell myself and tell other people of like why I still want to be fit, like one of the one of the scenarios is I get in a car wreck like on a winter Kansas highway. I get in a car wreck or whatever. My car flips over, worst case scenario, and I have to carry one of my kids to the nearest exit to a gas station. No cell phone or whatever. I have to carry one of my kids. I need to be able to know that I can do that. And I'm not, so even though I should be, I'm not doing squats and uh carrying a heavy bag up and down the street, but I know that I can. Like I know that I can mentally bring myself to do that and physically bring myself to do that because I've done something similar. I've done fireman carries with people up and down the football fields and the track and up and down the beaches at Little Creek, at JEB Little Creek. I've done that. Like done fireman carries of picking up guys who were fatter and bigger than me and got to a spot where I can't do any more and they're like, "Bullshit, keep going."
Mm-hmm.
And I have that in my arsenal now. They're like, no, I've done it before. And maybe, maybe I'm fooling myself thinking I could, I don't know if I could carry someone my size, but definitely anyone in my family, like my wife and my kids, I could definitely fireman carry them to the nearest exit if I had to. I could, and if I couldn't, I know I can drag them and yada yada.
I mean, I think
Oh,
that there's. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say a lot of most people, I was going to say a lot, but most people haven't served in the military. Most people haven't been in law enforcement or any type of emergency service worker. Most people don't know. They have an idea that what they would do. There's a thing. It's common in firearms training or any sort of combat training. We heard it a lot in law enforcement. Is you don't you rise to your level of training. That's
Yeah.
what you're going to perform at your level of training. You're not going to perform at your expectations of what you think, yada yada. You're going to perform of what you have actually done.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't know what they can actually do. So I think it's good. I mean, there's a couple, even though like I don't think I would sign up for this right now. I have signed up for something like this in the
Well,
past.
see, I don't think the problem. Like, I think there's great value in pushing beyond what you think you're capable of.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that wholeheartedly. I to me, and maybe it's part of maybe because it feels some kind of cheesy, or I don't. Maybe
It's
maybe
definitely cheesy.
maybe that's part of it, but I don't think that's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is the psychological. Uh, I maybe I'm going too far, but essentially, I think it's psychological torture. But I think that it creates trauma bonding to where you've got these other guys to where you're like, oh, I'm all open and vulnerable, and I'm willing to share my like bare my soul to this guy. Okay, that's great, but what did it take to get there? But then the other aspect of it is the religious component after they've psychologically broken these guys down.
I think
It
they're taking advantage of folks that are broken down to where they're almost open to accept anything.
I think 100%. And
Yeah.
it makes sense and I get it. I support it in the military. But
Well,
for
there's
a
not a religious aspect of the at least not like that.
yeah,
They don't say, okay, now we're going to talk about a
now
relationship with God.
now would you like to accept Jesus?
Yeah.
Um so yeah, man, I don't know. So you don't have a problem with it?
No, I don't. I think that it's kind of cool that these guys do that.
Mm.
Like I said, I wouldn't sign up for it right now, but kind of because I've already done that. Um, I even think it's pretty beneficial. I think they kind of kudos
Mm.
to them for doing
Well,
it.
I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to tell you that if you had invited me
Uh-huh.
to a men's weekend, first off, I ain't going to go. But let's say that I went. Let's say that I just decided, like, yeah, I'll go to a men's retreat. That sounds all right. And they lined us up in formation. I'm going to start looking for the door. Like, I'm going to start looking for, okay, where did I park? But the moment I see somebody doing push-ups or sit-ups or consequences for having chapstick in their pocket,
You're out.
yeah, dude, I'm leaving. Sorry, bro.
Really?
I'm sorry. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sorry that you paid this money for my registration because I'm not going to be here.
Now, I will bet every cent to my name that everyone there had an idea of what they're getting in for, had an idea of what they're signing up for. Maybe they
I
did. There's certainly a level of secrecy where they didn't want to expose everything, but I bet there's a bunch of Instagram reels. I guarantee you this organization is on social media. I
Funny
guarantee
enough,
you.
I looked it up on Reddit because I was curious. Like, are these like surely people are talking about this because it sounds pretty fucked up. I only found two posts on Reddit, and both of them were trying to figure out, is this a cult or is this like is this a good thing or is this a cult? And I'm gonna land on I think it's a cult. But all I could really find were yeah, their social media pages, and then people just talking about like what is this?
Yeah, Rise Up Kings, 134,000 followers. And I'm seeing exactly what you just said. Special operators for the kingdom. Yeah. These are a bunch of religious former special operators, or at least that's how they're branding themselves. Definitely, I bet a bunch of the staff is former military.
Well,
I'm interested to know how much of them are actually former special operators. I bet a bunch of them are former Marines.
see that was kind of funny too because he was telling me about the one of the coaches was former military, former law enforcement, and he was telling some stories, you know, some pretty harrowing stories, death and stuff, like pretty heavy stuff. And I just wondered, you know, oftentimes you hear like just the title, former military or former law enforcement, or you see this a lot. You see this in the news. An intelligence official said this, or so and so said that, and your instinct is to say, "Oh, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's former military. He's former law enforcement." How many people can you think, just in our previous agency, can you think of that could say that? Like maybe they could, maybe they're former military or not, doesn't really matter because you could think of both. That you're like, this dude doesn't have, this guy was never a cop. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he wore the uniform and he may have gone on some calls, but this dude didn't do shit his entire career.
Oh
Yet,
yeah.
yet he could go on tour and he could talk about all of the stuff that he saw, all of the stories that he heard about, all of the things that happened in the agency. But he wasn't, just because he was there doesn't qualify him. And
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder, and who knows, these guys may be all badasses. They may be special forces. I don't know. But my gut was like, yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
We'll see just how qualified they actually are. And maybe that's just because I'm an asshole. Maybe they have all of the qualifications in the world, but
Huh.
the whole thing, and
Well,
again,
do you think that they didn't? Do you think this was a net positive for the guys who went to it?
I mean, I think for now, I think it's a net positive for the guy that was talking to me. And this is why I'm like, I don't know what to do with it because I don't want, if he feels like he can be a better father and husband and he can communicate better and he's
I
he's
don't
got
know
a
if this is doing any of that for him. I don't think this is making him a better father or husband or communicator.
well
Maybe
he
better communicator just because it might instill a little bit of humility because that's if and not everybody gets this. God knows not everybody gets this. But when you're in the moment, one of the things that you should take away from a grueling boot camp experience like this, a grueling grinder session, is that uh, you're not shit. Like that's one of the things that it's meant to instill you. Like, oh no, you're nothing on your own. And it's one of the good things you get from jujitsu. It's one of the good things you get from any tough, rigorous physical activity. Is like, oh, there are limits to what you can actually do.
yeah
So hopefully that
uh,
instills some humility, which would help his communication, but probably not better. I don't know.
well he believes that it did, and so I'm not going to take that from him. So I would say, yeah, I mean, it appears to be a net positive. My, but then you add the religious component, and then I just look at it like, man, I know where that road ends,
Yeah.
and that especially to be introduced to it in this environment just um, seems real dangerous.
Hmm. Dangerous how though? What do you think they're gonna do? Because even though
Uh,
like we have found the many I mean one of our last episodes was on the errors and fouls of the literal interpretation of the Bible and whatever groups like specifically our experience was evangelicalism that claimed that the Bible was inerrant and infallible and yada yada. So we've found many
mhm.
holes, but on on a surface level any of the major modern religions, aren't they just trying to make their people better? Like teach their people how to be better people?
You would, well, probably all but Christianity.
Okay.
Because Christianity is different. It's the one that doesn't, that literally says, or at least evangelical Christianity literally says, we're not here to make you a better person, we're not here to add anything on, we're here so for you to give your life fully to Christ. Which, okay, whatever. But like, even in the talk about, this isn't about religion, this is about relationship, we just believe in the word, brother. We get rid of everything else and we just practice the word. We practice what's in the Bible and we follow Jesus.
Well, I
Okay, well,
guarantee you don't.
there's our first problem,
Yeah.
because now what you've just told me, and I do think that I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, so that when I hear somebody say we're not about
Maybe.
religion, I'm like, okay, you're about relationship. So tell me about that relationship. Oh,
Yeah.
that comes from doing religious practices. Sounds a lot like religion to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably the biggest danger outside of the physical is what these guys are presented with as man. I said something a while back, and you appropriately corrected me. Um, where I was saying like about devoting your life to Christ. And I was saying, yeah, maybe you probably shouldn't from a religious standpoint. And you said, meh, or maybe you could. And I think you were talking about from like the teachings of Christ, like we should devote
Yeah.
ourselves to the teachings of Christ.
I think very few Christians actually do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I think that probably most do the former, not the latter. I think
Yeah.
most would devote themselves to the religion of Christianity. And
Definitely the church and the
that's,
cult of it.
I think that's my biggest concern is the cultish religion aspect. Um, and maybe all the guys there knew what they were getting into, and maybe they wanted to do it, and maybe they feel great about it today. But it left me feeling really. Mm.
Well,
Like I'm excited for him, I'm happy for him, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, dang man, that sounds really risky.
right. So what's funny is every one of these groups, even the actual military groups, want to compare themselves to Spartans from ancient Greece. Like that's what everyone says. We're like the modern. I've heard Marines say that. I've heard Navy SEALs say that. I've heard Army infantry guys say that. Is we're basically the modern Spartans. Um, well, you know what's and where I'm going with this is they all need someone to do for them something that their parents should have done. But their parents didn't have this either. So I'm not putting the whole onus on their parents. But what's funny is if you want to know about what the Spartans did, there's this really good book by Stephen Pressfield called Gates of Fire. And there's actually a couple good books he has on this about the Spartans. But Spartans were like from childhood, like going back all the way, and I'm not saying we should emulate this by any means, but if you want to compare yourselves to the Spartans, they would religiously and like as a matter of law for their community, they would kill any baby that was born with deformities. So, like if a baby was born with blind in one eye, if a baby was born with any sort of like small deformed hand or deformed leg or anything like that, they would kill it. They would kill that baby. Um, from a time that a child was 0 to 8, it was the father's job to teach this kid boxing, wrestling, how to handle a sword. They learned some things from their mothers, some things were the mother's duty to teach them, but like both children. There was a female version of this, but specifically the boys. They would form every citizen of Sparta was a member of the military, and so that's why every single boy in Sparta had to, like I said, they're all a member of the military, and they're all specifically infantrymen. They were hoplites. 0 to 8, it was the dad's duty to teach them language, philosophy, how to box, how to wrestle, how to handle a sword. From 8 to basically the rest of their lives, they belonged to the military. So at 8, they would take that baby away from the parents, like their stories of the mother screaming and crying, pulling her hair out, from them taking this child away from them. And they would put that 8-year-old into like a 7-year boot camp of not a 7 month, which that doesn't even last. That's not even a thing anymore. Definitely not a 3 or a 4 month, but a 7-year boot camp where they would learn military formations, and there were many instances of death that occurred during this. But they would learn military formations. They would learn all the army, all the infantry skills, how to form their famous phalanx, where they would put their shields together, where it was an impenetrable wall of shields, and how to move like that. Um, there's stories from that book, Gates of Fire, of this experience, and it's a fictionalized instance, but he drew on many historical references of like this boy that they called Tank. This is a fictional story, but the instructors told him he had to push over a tree, which was obviously an impossible task, and they wanted him to give up. Well, he kept pushing and pushing to try to knock over this tree, to where eventually he died from exhaustion. And instead of them correcting their behavior or correcting their instruction style, they said, "This is an example of devotion." Oh, that's rain coming down. At first, I was about to get pissed off. I thought my wife was running a vacuum. It's raining outside right now. Uh, so like if you want to go to the Spartan example, the Spartans, and there was a lot of I don't know what the polite word is to say it. I've heard Joseph Campbell referred to it as pederasty, where there was sexualization of children. And that was just in the ancient Greek culture. Socrates talked about that too, but he talked about it in a language that was almost accepting of it in the day. Talked about like the the hunger of the flesh. Anyway, um things that were definitely not acceptable in today's modern culture, any of these things. Though that was the Spartans. Where I was getting to is like a lot of these folks, a lot of these organizations want to say they're the modern Spartans. And really where I was going is this was all stuff that they were missing from childhood. They should have been
Hmm.
able they should have been pushed ideally from their parents or from school or from, a sports team or, maybe jujitsu or something like that. But they just weren't. They still had that question of what can I do?
Hmm.
And that's where I think something like this might be beneficial.
I mean, something like the concept of it for sure, and even like a boot camp gym. I think that something like that could be useful. But it's the psych. I don't know, man. It's the
I
maybe
think
it's
I think you're bringing your own scars, your own lens to this, which is valid. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that it's invalid because you're bringing your own past into this, excuse me. But I'm just saying that's not the whole picture.
yeah. Maybe it's. I mean, like I've been through the books of Every Man a Warrior and like all of the men's. I've been to so
Extreme
many.
ownership and
I've been to so many men's retreats and men's Bible studies and conferences and all this kind of stuff that I'm sure that I am bringing my own baggage to it. But yeah, dude, uh, keep me off of that list. I
yeah,
I've
fuck
got
that noise is what my man
I've
J-Dub is
I've
saying.
got zero interest in it. And if you go and get something, not you, you should not go.
No, I would not.
No, but if the average person listening to this, if they get something out of it, sweet, good. Uh,
My contraband
just
would
be
be a bag
careful.
of mushrooms.
Just be.
They'd be like, "Oh, look at this guy, bro."
What were you instructed to bring? Nothing, sir. What is this? Mushroom, sir.
What? Magic mushroom, sir.
Would you like to get drunk with me, sir?
I'm rolling right now, sir. I've been tripping balls since last night, sir.
Yeah.
No. Um, what if, I mean, so I know I couldn't invite you to do that, but what if I wanted to
Mm.
invite you
Mm.
on a religious, like,
No. No,
not not
thanks.
not religious in that way, but like a mystic experience. I said,
Oh,
"Hey,
hell yeah.
we're gonna have a mystic experience, homie. Me, you."
Dude, I just went from complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just
But
from one word change.
from religious to mystic.
Yeah.
But you should know that is they're opposite sides of the same spectrum. That is a spectrum. And they're both on that line of spectrum. Religion and mysticism. There might be two ends, they are two opposite ends of that spectrum that you and I have both traveled from one to the other, but they
Mm-hmm.
are on the same spectrum. Um, what if I said, "Hey, homie, uh, I want to invite us to not party, but like have a real mystic experience. Like I want to bring us into the woods, me, you, like, and I'm just, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just this, but it could involve some of this. Like there's gonna be a fire." And here's one of my ideal ones that I wanted to do with you and T-Bone, and we kind of had it in the plans before, but it didn't shake out. But in my mind, it's like there's a fire, we're camping. There might even be some exercises of not PT grinder, but let's go on a tough
Let's go for
hike.
a jog or yeah, a hike.
Let's go on a tough run. Like no, more than 3 miles. Let's push it. Do more than what we normally do. Uh, let's bare our souls to each other. Like let's talk about things that, the things that we would have never told someone, because a lot of, at least I have, and I think a lot of other people do, like that one thing that you've done or you've experienced that you never want to tell another living person. Like let's fucking bring that to bear. Let's like let me lay that on you as my brother. Let's do that. And I know this isn't for everyone, and it might not be for all the Lawless family, but it 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 has been for me. Let's have a heroic psychedelic experience. Like let's take five of a natural plant medicine, whatever, pick your thing. For me, it would be psychedelic mushrooms. Let's take 5 grams each of psychedelic mushrooms and a hot tea and swallow it and play drums and let's cry and bare our souls to each other.
Yeah, dude, I would be on a plane tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, probably maybe not 100%, but definitely 98% of the guys who go to Rise Up Kings would say, "Oh hell no, you can count me out on that. I ain't no queer. I ain't gonna do all that." But kind of for the same exact reasons, that's pushing the limits of where, not where they would even comfortably go, but almost to where they can even imagine tolerating. They can, like, for them, like that's just an impossibility. Nope, I've already experienced something like that. My brother cried to me when I was 13, and I said, "No more of that.
Enough of them tears.
Enough of them tears, boy." Um, but you're kind of doing the same thing. That is, ugh,
Hmm.
that,
But
that. Go ahead.
but here's the deal.
Okay.
Like I am on board with that. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Every aspect of it. I love it. But if at the end you say, "Hey, why don't you open up your bag and you're gonna find a Bible in there. Just
Ugh.
grab it up. Let's just flip to these passages." And then you try to trick me. And maybe at this point it's like, "You got me. I'm not tricking you. This is actually about Jesus. This is actually." I'd be pissed. I'd be like, "Motherfucker, why didn't you just tell me that this was a conversion experience?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just tell me that this was evangelism?"
But here's the deal too, that is Jesus can be in both of those things. Except my Jesus is a lot different than what their
Yeah.
Jesus is.
In fact, I think that we need to call our new Jesus uh,
Yeshua is
Yeshua or Jesus or something,
yeah.
because just like the word God has been so uh, bastardized,
Yeah.
I think that the name Jesus has been too.
Definitely in our culture and experience, like in mine and your experience in our specific culture, it has been the name. Um, but just so you know, no one called Jesus Jesus. It was some version of Yeshua or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think Ram Dass said every religion and even every mystical experience is just different vehicles, maybe taking different routes, but they're all going to the same place. And I think you and I found that the vehicle that we were in just wasn't working anymore. It kept breaking down. We kept finding problems with that vehicle, problems that other people ignore. Some people love Fords, or some people love whatever the car is. Some people love a Datsun pickup truck. They think I'm never gonna or a Studebaker. I'm never gonna own anything except for a Studebaker. And other people make fun and say you got more screws loose than a Studebaker because the things were constantly shaking and rattling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we found lots of problems with that vehicle, and I think right problems, like correct issues. But I think eventually, especially if you're honest with yourself, they all get to the same point. They all get to the same place. I don't know. Yeah, well, yeah, that's definitely what Ram Dass says, and I think it's true to that, but you have to be honest with it. You have to be honest to get there. if I may be so bold, I'm gonna ask you the question that I asked you before we started recording, and I think it's a good kind of I think it fits here.
Yeah.
Of what would you rather be? Would you rather be right? And I'm gonna change that for certain. Would you rather be certain about something, or would you rather be honest? So, an example of that is religion, obviously, but there's examples in politics. There's examples in every um, every endeavor that people can get on, like whether you're a financier, whether you're a realtor, whether you are a mechanic or whatever. Would you rather be the guy who knows exactly this is how we do this because this is how it works, or would you rather be the guy who is honest that says maybe there's a better way to do this? Maybe there is a hole in this boat. Maybe there's a hole in this game. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm. I would rather for myself and you, I would rather everybody just be honest.
Be honest. But I didn't live most of my life in that position. I've even though I kind of had.
Yeah, did you though? Because there's a point, there's a like when you were a full-fledged on fire,
Uh-huh.
when you were convinced, you were being honest, right? Like
Yeah.
you were convinced.
Yes, I definitely was convinced, and I thought I would, and I was being honest that
Yeah.
I was convinced, but there was also a point, and maybe there's an aspect of me still that's like this. I think yeah, there's an aspect of every human that's like this. I think I'm better at addressing it now, or at least even recognizing it, which is the big hurdle to get over. But there's an aspect of me that still thinks that now I've got it figured out. Oh, now I know. Now I know that organized religion is bullshit. Oh, now I've got it all figured out. It's all make believe and yada yada. And then I come to a point where I'm like, oh no, maybe there is something to this. Maybe it's not exactly what they thought. When I first joined the Navy, we learned our pistol shootings in the Weaver stance. Everyone learned the Weaver stance. Did you learn the Weaver stance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was always taught the Weaver. It's like I described it as like you're riding a skateboard. Like or you're almost in like the traditional Taekwondo sparring stance. You got your body bladed. For a right-handed shooter, you'd have your left shoulder forward. Your right arm would be extended all the way. Your left hand would be a support hand, and that was the way to shoot.
Can I just say that I had the hardest time breaking that when we switched from Weaver to, I'm not even sure what you call it now, where it's
The
just
isosceles
locked up.
stance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you know where the isosceles stance and the isosceles stance had been around for a while. It was a competition shooting stance also, but where it really gained momentum was in the early years of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Um, Marines and soldiers and all service members were going into combat, and they were blading up in the Weaver stance. And what's exposed in the Weaver stance is your ribs, and in some cases your
Your
armpit.
arm. Mm-hmm.
And there is no armor on your armpit, definitely not. And for a lot of guys, there was not even any armor on their ribs. I know I was telling this story today to some coworkers of an NCO on my deployment to Afghanistan that got shot in his ribs, and he was wearing cardboard cutouts of where his armor should have been there, but because each plate weighed like 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds each, he took out his armor and put in cardboard so he wouldn't get in trouble for inspection. But
Mm-hmm.
it was lighter. It was a lighter load. Well, he ended up catching a 7.62 in his ribs and ended up dying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why the isosceles stance. gain prominence is because you're facing the threat with your armor. You're putting your plate toward them, and you actually have better control with two equal arms. It's kind of like the idea of swinging a baseball bat, even. But so that's an example of because guys from the 90s and guys from 2003 and 2004, whenever I joined the Navy, I joined the Navy in 2003, they would have said the best way, and they did say the best way, the only way even of being an effective shooter was shooting from the Weaver stance.
Mm-hmm.
But it took some people being honest to say, "Oh, actually there's some problems here. There's some literal and figurative holes
Mm-hmm.
in this shooting situation to say there's got to be a better way."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that applies to your entire world outlook. The entire way you see reality, should have in mind like the lessons learned from being honest over being right, being certain.
Yes. But I think I've said this before that your phone just cut out.
Yeah,
Can you?
you're good. Yeah, I can hear you,
For one, I don't know that I'm really certain about anything anymore.
which is good.
I don't know that I I don't know that I even believe anything anymore. I have some suspicions about things, but
Hmm.
I'm not certain about anything. But I prefer that. Like I so much prefer digging in the sand and trying to figure out the shape of an object than actually putting that object on the shelf. Like I would much rather wrestle with a thought and figure out what is this like? What does it look like? How does it work? What could this be? Than say, oh yeah, that's it. Got it. We got it figured out. We can put that up on the shelf and now we're done. I mean, I guess that should maybe be the goal. But for me, I enjoy discovering more than I enjoy being certain.
Yeah, and you also have to think, what did it take for you to get there? Like it took not a minimal amount of heartache and heartbreak for you to get there. Like there were some disappointments, there was some letdown, there was even some earth shattering at some points. Like
Yeah.
what you believed in was changed.
I got shot in the ribs a couple times, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
I realized, oh, this stance does not offer any protection,
Yeah.
or this stance is really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I was forced to change what I thought I knew to acknowledge, yeah, it turns out this is not the way to do it. I've seen enough to know that this is not the only way, probably not the best way to do it.
And see, you were lucky enough, I mean, lucky, fortunate, whatever, to have the tools to even be able to evaluate that. A lot of people, um, if they would have gone, they would have reached whatever that obstacle was, that obstacle in the road, those questions, that doubt, and they would go back to their spiritual mentor or whoever their teacher was, and they
Mm-hmm.
would have said, "Oh, the problem is you're leaning on your own understanding.
You're not certain enough.
You're not certain enough." Exactly. You need to double down in your faith and your
Mm-hmm.
certainty and let go of this and open up this, whatever bullshit
Mm-hmm.
they would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just happened to be, I mean, I say happen, but yeah, you had the life experience and the awareness to recognize like, oh no, this isn't going to work. Most people don't, and you can't fault them for not knowing what they don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that that's where some of where my angst comes from with that program is that you've given these guys, you've said, oh, we just follow the word. We just do what the word says. And now you've given them that confidence, but confidence in what?
Yeah.
Now, now you've really, in a lot of cases, taken away their ability to be honest,
Yeah.
because now, hey, everything that I'm supposed to know is in this book. And even if you wanted, maybe there's a way in which that works, but at least in this present day, there's just no way that that works because there's so many different you can.
Well, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for you because like one of the things I wanted to say as soon as you said everything you need is in like we just follow the word. I wanted to say like, oh really? Let's open up the book of Leviticus.
Which word?
Yeah, which word? There's 66 books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh
They all say something different. And they're it's not a univocal as in one voice. It is not one message. Not in one language, not at one
right.
time. Um,
You know what I think it is, as even as you're saying that, as I'm sitting here, I think what it is I think that it triggers something in me that used to believe
oh yeah.
that believed that, we'll call it a line. I'm not going to say lie, but I believed that line that everything that you need is in this book.
Yeah.
And now, having lived a life where I realized that's not true, and that a lot of that, if you take it to its logical conclusion, is damaging,
Sure.
is damning. And so when I hear that, when I hear it and when I see somebody else excited about it, part of me wants to be like, oh man, I'm so excited for you. But the other part of me is like, oh man, I'm so scared for you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure. Maybe. There's a possibility of them becoming like a Duggar or whatever, like a hardcore Christian nationalist that and like to the damaging getting on the damaging side of that spectrum wherever they're causing hurt based on their interpretation of whatever. But I would say chances are I would say chances are they're going to try to use that experience to be a better father and to be a better husband and to maybe be a better communicator. Um, I don't know if that's the best tool to do that with, but I know it is a tool. In my deconstruction journey, one of the things that like I was taking a baby step, one of my many baby steps away from it, from evangelicalism, was I started to describe Christianity and the Bible as like a good multi-tool. Like there's pliers in it, there's a screwdriver, there's a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver in it, there's a blade in it, yada yada. But I wouldn't call it the best pair of pliers. It's definitely not the best screwdriver you can ever come by. It's definitely not an ideal fighting knife. It's not an ideal cutting instrument at all. Like it's not an ideal anything, but it's a good multi-tool. And now maybe that idea has changed, but I still think there's some validity to that as far as like as long as you don't bite off whole hog to become a zealot.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I'd yeah.
honestly, probably, I think we've talked about this too, that if people could go and just take it for what it's worth, and even if you just look at it like a TED talk, like we're just going to learn about how to have a better life, I can get with that.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. So maybe the other issue is I'm bringing with it my zealousy because I was a zealot,
Yeah.
and so like
Well, I
I
think the one of the few ways to get to where we got and to where you got was you had to be a zealot. You had to be a zealot to realize it doesn't provide you what you thought it did when you were a zealot because you
I
had to
try
test it.
I try to explain this to people, and I don't know if you haven't experienced it, you just wouldn't understand. But I try to explain to people that no, I wasn't a casual. I wasn't. In fact, that was a term,
Yeah.
casual Christian,
It
and
was an insult.
I wasn't a casual Christian. Like I really believed this stuff. I wasn't just a guy that was just trying to go on Sunday, just trying to live, trying to make my family better, trying to be a better guy. I was fully committed,
On fire.
and so I may that might also be something else that I'm bringing to it. Is I feel like my fear is that the goal of, again, I'm harping on this organization and I'm not meaning to, but I feel like the goal is to create on fire zealots. And that scares me also. Not necessarily for what they will be, like what they may do, but for that person. That scares me
Yeah.
for that person, that's what you're being indoctrinated into.
Yeah, that is a real danger. But that's a real danger with any ideology because now you've come to learn the wisdom of holding on loosely. Like now you know to hold on loosely. Like there's lots of things that you can gain from this or that, but to hold on loosely because it can come or go. Well, when you're a zealot, like when you're a jihadist or a crusader or whatever religious warrior word you want to use, that's when actual, like figurative and literal harm is done in the name of religion. Because, like, if you read the Old Testament, Abraham was willing to kill his kid because God told him to. God ordered child sacrifice, actually, many times in the Old Testament. And in the New Testament, it depends on if you, according to Paul, not according to Jesus, but according to Paul, God ordered the sacrifice of his child, even. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is figurative, like ideological and emotional harm that can be done, but there's also physical harm that can be done in the name of religion. And that you should guard against and that you should protect against. Because I mean, like my question of would you rather be certain or would you rather be honest? Um, like now you should honestly look at the Bible and say, not all of this is good. At least not how we see the world now in 2026, not as a good person. Like it is not good. No matter if you think any angel or demon or God or whatever is telling you to sacrifice your child, you should never sacrifice your child. I don't care who's telling you to do it. You should never enslave a person. I don't care what celestial being you think is telling you it's okay and ordained. You should never think that your ethnic group or your religious group is better than any other group or has any other authority over them. Like that is wrong. We understand
Mm-hmm.
that as wrong today. Well, that specific language is in the Bible. Everything that I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
child sacrifice, slavery, sex, violence, all of that is there in the Bible. Racial supremacy, ethnic supremacy, it's all there.
Ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing, it's all there in the book. It's not all in the red letters, but I mean, you can interpret it and find, and people have, historically justified it in the red letters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well, one thing that's not there is there is no, it's kind of common in more mainstream churches. It's kind of common to just kind of overlook the Old Testament. Like,
yeah.
yeah, we won't talk about that. Maybe cherry pick a couple verses that we can apply to this New Testament theme. But I'll tell
Hmm.
you what's not there is there's no condemnation of what happened in the Old Testament.
Right.
There's no separation of, yeah, we don't, meh, that. I mean, I guess you could say what would the common verbiage would be that, well, Christ fulfilled the law and there is no more need for sacrifice. But there's nowhere where it says, yeah, we shouldn't have done that, or that shouldn't have happened, or that was wrong. It's just, yeah, we don't have to sacrifice our kids anymore. Yeah, we don't have to sacrifice a bull or a dove or a goat or a sheep because Jesus did that.
Well, did Jesus say that you've heard an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? And I say, if someone strikes you on your cheek, you should turn the other cheek and offer it to them. And you've heard that's how it used to be, but now I bring a new way. But yeah, yeah, he did. And I think that was an example of him challenging the orthodoxy challenging the dogma of the day. Like, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly where and how deep to even get into this, or even if this is where we want to go, but uh Paul's theology was almost forcing Jesus back into the redeeming and the fulfilling of the Old Testament, when I think Jesus himself would have had nothing to say about that. You can whatever. There's some scholarly review of like what Jesus said and what he did and didn't say and yada yada. Maybe you could say he claimed that he was fulfilling some prophecy, but I don't know if the historical Jesus actually did say that.
Yeah.
But definitely his theme was change from the old way and into a new way, into a new relationship of God or with God. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Rise up, King. You know what I'm saying? Rise up, young King.
that's that's what I'm going to tell you whenever, if you're ever feeling down, if you're ever feeling like you need a little pick me up, rise up, King.
Rise up, King.
Do some burpees.
Do
I
some
didn't
eight
tell you to
counts.
stop. Stick your face in the sand.
Yep.
I don't know. It's entirely possible that I've just got a bad attitude, but yeah, that sounds like nothing that I want to be a part of. Not at this stage in my life.
Well, don't beat yourself up too much about how you have a bad attitude because honestly, you just have your attitude. And whether it's good or bad, you you are looking at the world in only the way that you can. And so, like, Rise Up Kings is not for Justin Crafton in 2026. I can tell you that
I can
100%.
I can agree with you on that.
I can tell you right now, Rise Up Kings is, but maybe in 2006.
I was trying to think of if there was a time in my life where I would have thought that that I would benefit from that. I would say probably in my 30s, I would probably think that it was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe. Um, yeah, I probably would have, but not now.
Hmm. Um, but I mean, so I know you've already answered this, but just kind of like to circle back. You recognize that this guy and those guys who went there could have gotten something positive out of this experience,
For sure.
for sure. And
At least seemingly positive, and at least temporarily positive.
definitely temporarily positive. And like anything, I mean, it's a perishable skill. Seeking any sort of knowledge, any sort of discipline, that discipline is a perishable skill. Just like shooting, you can be. I was an expert marksman on the rifle and the pistol when I was in the military. I bet I couldn't pass the expert qualification exam right now because I haven't been doing it. I know I couldn't compete as a second degree Taekwondo black belt right now like I used to because it's been years since I've done that.
Can you compete as a no stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu?
Oh, I definitely could. I
Huh?
definitely could compete as a no stripe white belt. I
Are
don't
you
know how.
gonna are you gonna compete, or have you?
No, hell no. I'm not going to
You
compete.
you should.
You think so?
I
What would
do.
I get from it?
Um, I got a torn MCL and fractured tibial plateau and torn meniscus.
Okay, keep going.
Um,
You're convincing me.
uh, and I got choked out by a 17-year-old. So
Okay.
those are both two pretty cool things.
Now, I think
Um,
this being choked out by the 17-year-old was a net positive.
it was. But in all seriousness, I think that sparring at the gym teaches you something,
Yeah,
teaches you a lot of things, a lot of really good things. And
definitely.
if nothing else, even if you never competed, sparring at the gym is is a good thing.
Yeah.
But but in that environment, it's pretty friendly.
Yeah.
Like nobody's trying to win, and if you're in the right gym, nobody's trying to win, nobody's trying to hurt you, nobody's, it's pretty safe, and it's relatively
Low risk.
relatively low risk. Whereas at the competition in the tournament, like, you're going to figure out what if this really works or not.
Yeah.
Like, does this technique actually work, or was the guy at the gym, was he just trying to help me do the move? Because they're not going to help you do the move.
Yeah. Or did you actually learn it?
Yeah,
Did you actually put in the reps with
yeah,
the open ego, you know, I get that. I guess the reason I'm not I'm so quick to close the door on competitions, and maybe, maybe I'm wrong. I'm about to say one thing I do know is that I don't know much. I don't know with certainty much. One of the reasons I'm quick to close the door on competitions is that I don't have anything to prove to anyone anymore. I have zero to prove to anyone. Like,
yeah.
I've seen this at work, and I've seen it in my own personal life, and even when I was a cop, I was starting to embrace this, or I was starting to speak this language. But it's the oh, you're right. Like, hey, this is how you do something. I was told this is how you do it, and this is the way that it's actually supposed to go. Okay, you're right. Like, that's just where I'm at now. Like, I have
Yeah.
nothing. I'm not getting in an argument with you. I have nothing to prove. You're right, bud. Go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do hear what you're saying. My buddy Cody, who's a listener of the podcast, had his kids are killing it at competitions right now, and he's done either his first competition or like his second competition, and he's my age. I think he's a two stripe or maybe a three stripe white belt, and the conversations we have is focused on how good it is for the ego. Like, like
This.
me and him both came from the same expeditionary world. We were in Afghanistan together. So, like, we were brown water navy, quote unquote. Like, we went on land. We weren't just sailors on the blue water. We were actually on land and did combat operations. So me and him both love to shoot and hunt and archery and yada yada. He maybe has his foot a little bit more on the gas when it comes to that stuff, like the not to degrade it, but like the macho stuff. He's kind of more macho than I am. Um, like I said, not saying it in a
That
degrading
king
way.
has already risen.
That king has already risen. Um, But we were joking. His wife sent him like a meme of like a wolf amongst sheep, and she was like, "How other people see their husband and how I know my husband is." And he was like, "Baby, just so you know, if there was a home invader and he was a blue belt, there's not much I could do to him."
I'm going to pull guard.
I'm gonna pull guard if there's a blue belt that invades our home. But no, honestly, there's a difference between real life and whatever. But like he is taking all of the right lessons from jujitsu, and
Yeah.
like that's awesome the way that he's doing it. And he's done a few competitions.
Now he's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys aren't going to. I was going to ask if you were going to the same gym, but then I thought I remembered he was in Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Let me ask you this, and this is going to be totally shifting gears, but I want some, maybe not expertise, but I want some real advice.
Okay.
One of the things that slowed me down from jujitsu in general was it feels like I tore a dang muscle in my abdomen. But if I take time off of it, the pain goes away and it feels
Hmm.
just fine. But like I've been swinging my kettlebell around a little bit recently and getting back just doing some ab stuff, and that pain is starting to come back like, "Oh, there's a sharp thing there."
Hmm.
Do you think you can just exercise your way through that?
I don't know. Probably not. If it were me, I probably would. I would probably try.
Yeah.
Just because I'm. I give pretty good advice to other people and pretty poor advice to myself. Um,
I don't know. Like
what
I'm
could it
sp
be?
I don't know. I don't want to say, I mean, the excuse I want to say is like, oh, I might have a tear. I don't know if it's a tear, but I definitely it's something strained and it's under my ribs. Like it's in my abdominal wall. I can feel it. But like with my neck and even my shoulder, I don't know if it's still torn, but many years out of the Navy, I found out that I had a torn labrum from an injury sustained when I was in the Navy. And the same thing, I have some bulging discs, but I've done enough PT to make it to where I operate just fine. Like I still have enough range of motion, enough, not optimal, but enough to get by range of motion and enough strength. Could I do some like abdominal strengthening to get over that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I wanted. I wanted that certainty.
Have you seen that video of I think it's Chael Sonnen where he's talking to, I think it was back when, I don't even know if it's still on, like Real Fighter or something like that, where they had houses and like the two
The
houses
Ultimate
would fight.
Fighter?
That might be what it was.
Yeah.
He's talking to somebody and he's like, yeah, I'm sure your ribs do hurt because your ribs are in a bitch. I see it all the time and I laugh every time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, so have you been taking a break,
Oh yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
recover?
I'm like on probably a month and a half break now, right now from JITS. Um, we were going to start back in June, but Cash had summer school that he just wrapped up this week.
Way to go, Cash.
Had a boy, Cash. Cash had summer school, and I was supposed to have a house guest for the month of July. That ended up not working out, but July, I ended up taking July off also,
Well,
or
July hasn't
June,
happened yet.
June. Yeah, yeah, not July, June. I ended up taking June off also. We were supposed, Cash was in summer school, and we were supposed to have a house guest, so I ended up taking June off also. The plan is to go back in July, but it might be, man, I'm gonna be honest, it might be a little inner bitch that's in me saying, what about your tummy? Your tummy might get hurt.
But could you wrap it? Would that
That's
help?
that's what I was doing. I wore a back brace to work that wrapped around my abdomen just to provide that pressure so I could work good
Hmm.
during the day because I was getting myself beat up. But maybe I just need better physical conditioning. Maybe I just need to up the physical conditioning.
The only thing that I would think is, I wonder if that would make it hard to breathe. If you had something tight wrapped around your chest, would you have
Oh,
a hard time breathing
it
while you're
it definitely
sparring?
did. I don't know if I would wear it when I'm sparring. Yeah, I don't know. What I was doing, what one of my coaches told me to do, like with my knee brace, because I also have knee pain, is to exercise, like do squats or whatever without the knee brace, and to just wear the knee brace in the gym, like as structural support. But the
Oh,
but that's different. It's not a structure thing, it's a pain thing.
yeah. Well, one of the things that I like about being somewhat anonymous, I mean, I don't know who our listeners are, but I'm guessing that most of them don't know that I was actually pretty terrible at jujitsu,
What?
and that I dreaded it every night. Every night I would go. It was such a struggle to get there. And well, that's not true either. I almost lied. I was going to say once I got there, it wasn't bad. But even getting on the mat, that was the hardest part because I could get there. The way we did it is Silas had his class first, and then after his was the adult class, and so I would stay for both.
Yeah.
And there were so many times I'd have my bag and just be like, "You ready to go?" And he'd be, if he was ready to go, I'd be like, "Okay, let's get out of here." Like I would just found any reason I could not to do it because it wasn't fun for me.
Now, here's what I can do, and I actually started to do this to the chagrin of some of my practitioners, but actually this was working for me. Was you know what I can do is I can do the lesson and just not roll afterwards. Like
Yeah,
you can do that. You can
that's an
go to class.
option. Yeah, that's an option.
That is an option to go to the class and just not roll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Though I think we both agree that the rolling is like
where a lot
that's
of the benefit is.
that's where it is. Because if you just drill, and again, the difference in competition and the dude in your gym, if you're just drilling, the guy's going to be like, no, take my arm. It needs to go this way. You know, try this. And you're like, oh, okay. Or like you're doing a sweep and they're like trying to help you. And you don't really get to know if it actually works. If you're sparring, then you get a better idea of if it works. But when you're competing is when you really figure out, does this actually work? Or do I actually understand it enough to make it work?
Well, here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take some because I think one of the skills I do have, or at least one of the things I've recognized on how I learn good, is by like inoculation, a little bit at a time. Here's my game plan going back, and this might all change the first week I go back. But my game plan now, like as we're talking, is go back and just do drilling for a couple weeks. Like I'm just gonna drill, no rolling. And once I do start rolling, just do two, maybe three rounds. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes all they have is three, like they do 3 5-minute rounds, but sometimes it's like 4 rounds or even 5 rounds. Just do two, start off with 2 rounds.
Yeah,
And
that's legit.
yeah, I can do that. I can do that, definitely do
You,
that.
yeah, you got this, buddy.
And I think it would be responsible and wise for me to also do a little bit more physical preparedness, physical training for this. Like I probably need to get into some more core, some more some ab strengthening and
Yeah.
some knee strengthening.
Speaking of jiu-jitsu, did you watch the UFC on the White House lawn yesterday?
I didn't, but I've been reading about it all day.
Yeah. I only watched, wasn't even really paying attention. I only watched one fight. What are people saying about it?
Everyone was I don't know. I'm upset that my man Derek Lewis lost. I love Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite ever ever to do. I watched him fight in Wichita when the UFC came to
Yeah.
Wichita.
Were
No,
you working the arena?
I was in the
You were there?
crowd. Woo!
Yeah.
He lost there too.
I was working security and that was a strange deal. They said, so I was up there at the ring and they were like very clear. If you turn around and watch the fights, you will be fired on site.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like it was the UFC guy, like the UFC security came in and told all of us that. Like they're very strict about that. Is that you're outward facing, you're not down there to watch the fights.
Hmm.
So I had to watch out of the corner of my eye because, like, how often are you going to be right there at the cage, you know, and seeing these dudes? You got to.
Yeah. I mean, well, what if they spill into the crowd? You got to be there
I
to
got to
stop them.
know. Yeah, I got to know
Yeah.
who's who.
Yeah. One of the things he did there at that Wichita fight is he feigned. I guess he did get a real rib injury, but like the guy did something like punched him in the ribs, and he like feigned. It was like, oh, my ribs, and the guy tried to rush in on him, and that's when he did a spinning back.
Psych.
Yeah, spinning back kick, which is a Taekwondo move, homie.
Well, what else is we got about 10 minutes for 2 hours. We talked about them Kings for quite a while.
Well,
What else is
yeah.
going on? What else is on the is on in your mind?
Oh, oh, nothing. It feels good to work. It feels. Like as easy as it is to complain about being tired, and don't get me wrong, I'll complain with the best of them. I love to complain. Um, as easy as it is to complain about being tired from working, it feels good to go to work and like Ashley asked me how was work today, and I said, "Babe, I was working all day long. Like from the time I clocked in to the time I left, I was working on one specific monument, which isn't always the case. A lot of times we go from one thing to another, but I was on a ladder on the top doing some connections on top, or I was on my knees behind it installing these water pipes and air ventilation, or I was on my knees getting bolting it down to the ground, or on my knees doing a bunch of like sealing it to the ground, or standing up working on a light or whatever and doing these different things. It feels good to put in an honest day's work.
Yeah.
It feels real good. That's what I've been doing a lot is just kind of just grinding. Um, man, I don't know. I know we don't have 10 minute or this is we don't there's not 10 minutes worth of justice to really give this, but I'm blessed in my house where we have more than one source of income, right? Like I have retirements and some pension from the Navy. My wife has her own incomes, and I'm getting my income from work. And I feel like we're just now kind of being able to be comfortable.
Mm.
We have five sources of income in my home, sometimes four. We're just now able to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I know most people don't have that.
Yeah.
It's tough out there. That's one of the things I've heard a lot of comment. I've been listening to the podcast that I normally listen to, but one of them is Dave Smith on Part of the Problem, and he's been on other podcasts that I listened to recently as a guest. But President Trump keeps touting how good the economy's doing. And his only marker to do that is like this mythological entity that everyone worships as the Dow. Like, oh, the Dow's at 50,000. Well, there's not a ton of people in my specific circle that actively, they definitely don't depend on it as their own source. Maybe one person does, but most people don't invest at all. And the ones that do definitely don't depend on it as their source of income.
Yeah. It's certainly not changing. What they're doing is not reflected on the groceries they can buy.
No,
You know,
gas is still $4 a gallon. If you're lucky, it's $4 a gallon. If you live in
yeah.
California, it's 5 and 6.
Their portfolio may be up and down, but it's not impacting their daily life.
Yeah.
And I'm real curious, because you've got a couple of retirements. Have you ever thought about like there are people that are for whatever maybe through age or disability for whatever reason the income they've got the income they get is what they've got, right? The
Oh
retirement,
yeah.
the pension, like
Fixed.
it's fixed. And when I first retired, when I first got my check from the sheriff's office, I was able to pay our bills,
Yeah.
and anything that I made from real estate was just icing on the cake. Like
Yeah.
it was just extra. Well, I mean, things have just gotten so expensive that it is absolutely, that is not the case anymore. And I wonder, like, my mom had to go back to work because she couldn't live on her pension. What are people supposed to do that can't work, that can't find other sources of income
Suffer.
when, and I've seen this, I've seen this on more than one occasion where people who own their home and maybe not like outright own, but they own, like they've still got a mortgage on it, and the taxes and insurance go up $400 a month.
Yeah.
Like so let's say you've got a fixed income, your taxes and insurance went up $400 a month. You've got no means to bridge that gap. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I mean, Yeah, you're just supposed to suffer. Or I mean, I guess you have to make adjustments, but what does that adjustment mean? Does that mean I'm not going to
Like you
buy
got
my
to,
prescriptions?
or you got to sell your house because you can no longer like. And now you're not even talking about moving up. Like you're having to downsize because the house that you could previously afford for the past 5 years, you're now priced out of it, and you didn't do anything.
And if you're on a fixed income like disability or a pension, chances are you're not going to qualify for a mortgage again. Like you're going to renting, homie.
Yeah,
You're renting
yeah,
a house if you're
and
lucky.
I know that the president doesn't own all of that, but anytime I hear about the economy or anytime I see bragging about this or that, my gut reaction is fuck you.
Yeah.
When's the last time you filled up your car with your own gas? Or when's the last time you paid for your gas? When's the last time you went to the grocery store to buy groceries? Don't talk to me about how good the economy is.
I did see just today on there's another, like I was going to say the fifth, but I think it's way more than the fifth. It might be like the dozenth time that we've declared victory in Iran.
Yeah.
Um, Part of the stipulations of this latest victory claim is that the U.S. is going to dedicate $300 billion to rebuilding the damages in Iran. Like that was part of the terms.
Is that exactly what we did in Iraq
Oh yeah,
with who Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and all the others who had
it,
investments?
I don't know. I don't know. I imagine that Iran is not going to let Kellogg Brown and Root, Dick Cheney's Kellogg Brown and Root, or whatever the new American company is. I guarantee you they're not going to let them come in and rebuild. I think we're going to be paying Iran $300 billion to rebuild this war that we fought for another nation.
Sounds like we won.
Sounds like we won.
Way to
Dude,
go! Is the Strait of Hormuz open or closed?
it depends on what news article you read. Today, I get news notifications on my phone. Today, I read an article that said it's going to be open without any tariffs. Iran is still going to be controlling the Straits of Hormuz, and then I read another thing that said it's going to be like an international partnership with Iran. So they're still going to be calling the shots. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's it's just not been super stellar. There's been a lot of bait and switch in this last term. This
Yes, there
last president.
has.
I know one thing though. I know especially after they took out Thomas Massey was like the final straw. Well, it wasn't even the final straw. That was just another offense that I think a lot of Americans had on them whenever APAC spent 23 or 32, depends what news article you read, $1 million to take him out. So you know that elections are bought and paid for. Uh, like that's not even a conspiracy theory, and that's not rhetoric. That election was bought to get him out of there because he dissented from the leader. Um, the economy is not better. The No New Wars guy had a couple, at least three wars on his watch. The first Iran, Venezuela, and now the second Iran. Um, I don't see how the Republican Party has a future like in the next 10, 15 years of even a chance of being in the and they did it 100%. They did it to themselves. It was theirs to fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
They had this golden opportunity.
The list hasn't been released.
The list hasn't been released. No.
People haven't gone to prison. All of the all None of the promises have come true or have been fulfilled.
The one thing that he did do, and this was a big one, but the one thing that was big to me, I know people listening and even friends of the show have different opinions on this, but he closed up the border. He closed up the southern border. They said for the year of 2026, I don't know how true this can be, but they reported that the illegal border crossings documented has been zero for 2026. It definitely can't be zero.
No,
That's
I don't
just,
believe that.
but it has to be a lot lower for them to even, I, doesn't it have to be a
I
lot
don't
lower?
know. I don't know. No, I don't know that it does
Hmm,
because you can just make up and spew whatever bullshit you want.
that's true.
And what are you going to do? Fact check me
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
with your fake news, with your fake facts?
Well, I guess we don't see the caravans of people driving over the border anymore, like we did a couple years ago. That was one thing that you saw in on the southern border in Texas is like literally there were caravans of people just pouring over the border.
You
And
think that's not happening, or do you think we're just not being shown it?
CNN would show it. CNN doesn't like Donald Trump or MSNBC, the not friends, like the culturally liberal media outlets, they would be showing that if it was true because they flaunt the Epstein thing and they flaunt the Iran war, all his other failures they love to show, broken promises. So if this was another broken promise, I feel like we would have seen it.
Yeah, maybe. He did reclassify marijuana,
He t
didn't legalize it,
No,
so he didn't go far enough. But there is that.
yeah. He opened up psychedelics for medical research. He did that this
Um,
year.
I I was going to say I was talking to a therapist the other day. It's mine. It's my therapist.
To a therapist
Yeah, I was talking to a therapist the other day,
that
and
I
she
make
said,
payments to.
I talked to her every couple of weeks, for an hour. Um, she was saying that she thinks that in within 6 months they their therapists will be able to use psilocybin in therapy sessions,
Oh, really?
and within the next 5 years, she believes that they'll be able to use MDMA,
Oh, really?
which I think is fantastic. I wish that
Yeah.
it should be sooner than 5 years and 6 months, but
But hey, we're making steps.
we're making hopefully we're making some progress. I'm not sure what she's referring to, why she believes that, but
So, as tempting as it is to be almost dogmatic now in our criticism of the Trump administration, the honest evaluation is that there are some, very little, but there are some positives that have come out of this. I don't think it justifies all the negatives. It definitely doesn't cover up or excuse all the negatives. But the difference between being certain and being honest is there are some benefit
yeah,
or good things that have happened.
yeah. You got that paintbrush in your hand like you're about to go back to work.
It's been sitting here on my desk. This is the color of green. It looks blue in the camera, but this is juniper sage.
It looks white on screen.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Hmm.
This is juniper sage.
Did you do the whole thing with brushes, or did you have rollers?
No, I did because my wife's short and my brother has a bad back and bad knees. I did all the trim. I did from the ceiling to the wall. I did where the wall connects to the
From the
ceiling.
ceiling to the wall.
That's not how that song goes, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I did also do the trim on the windows, but they did a lot of that too. I did the tops and the bottoms and the corners, and I did not the majority, but I did some of the actual walls also. But mostly Ashley and Charles did the meat of the walls, and I did the trim because I'm the only one that I trust on the ladder and the one that I can reach, or the one that can reach. Yeah.
fair, fair.
All right, my friend, it's been another great episode.
As always.
As always, listeners, if you, we do have at least three guests that are kind of chomping at the bit to get on the show. Dr. Vincent Bradley is going to be a guest here soon. There's a local singer songwriter here in the Mobile, Baldwin County area, Corey Joyner, who's asked to be on the show. We're gonna see about getting him on, and some other friends of the show want to come on and peep in. So we got some stuff coming. If you want to get a hold of us, the best way to contact us is podcastlawless@gmail.com. Also, if you put a comment in any of our posts, we'll get back to you that way. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram. We'll get back to you that way. And until then, my friend, it was great chatting with you.
Keep it real, homeboy.
Keep it real. I love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.